All right, while he gets that situated, good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dale Dumo. I'm a volunteer with the Travis Manion Foundation. And before I start off with kind of like going big picture with TMF, what we do in Yuma, which I started a couple years ago because I was very involved in youth mentorship. That TMF headquarters asked me to start the chapter, which I did because it's an awesome organization. My primary focus today is on youth mentorship. However, before I get there, I want to talk to you guys more about TMF as a whole, why it exists, and then also a brief background and to provide some context why I do this. So like I said, I'm a volunteer. So I do this on my free time, do it during lunch, along with my mentors, which I'll show you some of the teammates that's part of our team. So our purpose, our why do we do this, right? Because we see a need, and you guys see it right now with society today, as far as youth, their development, right? Mental health, anti-drug measures, all that stuff, it all plays in, right? So I saw this niche that's in need because we don't have these big brothers, big sisters organizations, and teachers, educators, so busy at school with the curriculum, right? Sometimes it's hard to get that face-to-face mentorship, right? You have your coaches, all that stuff, and it really takes a village, right? We hear that all the time, that timeless proverb, it takes a village. So I started to get involved with youth mentorship in April of 2023 as I was getting to retire from the military. I was in the Marine Corps for 21 and a half years. I served 8 years enlisted and then 13 plus years as an officer. Before that, and I share this, so this slide I share with the kids when we first introduce ourselves. And I'll go through kind of like the character strengths that we list on the bottom of our speaker slide. So we talk about our stories, right? All the mentors that are involved are collaborators, guest speakers. They do this because we want to help with the youth. All right, we see the problems, the needs, right? This is kind of like, even though it applies to any phase, right, of crisis, this is more in the prevention and also providing that foundation and the tools they need, right, before they get confronted with that fork in the road, before they make those hard decisions, right? Whether it's peer pressure, drugs, whatever it is, okay? So I was born in the Philippines. I'm not from here. I moved here when I was about 10. My mom and dad worked their butts off, excuse my language, to make it here. My dad got recruited from his boss who he used to work with, and we lived in Saudi Arabia for many years, actually. So that's how we were able to get here, got naturalized. And then, moving into Houston, Texas, right in the middle of the ghetto, right? I didn't know what the ghetto was, right? So living through that, trying to fit in, right? All the different challenges with just adjusting, culture shock, and then also getting influenced by gangs, criminal activity, all the usual things you go through as a teenager, right? We all know that. So going through that, I eventually graduated high school, which I don't know how I made it. I was homeless several times my senior year because I was just a knucklehead. Wasn't listening to mom and dad. I was doing me. Luckily, I graduated with a decent enough GPA, still made it. Took a year off. I was supposed to go to college, University of Texas at Austin, but just like a lot of the youth today, we get distracted and then it takes us off to a different path, which, it wasn't until I joined the Marine Corps, because I always wanted to serve my country, pay it forward for what this country has provided for me and the American dream to my family. So I served in the Marine Corps, gave me perspective, gave me purpose. I was only supposed to do 4 years, get out, but 22 plus years later, 3 years ago, I just retired, so I'm still here. So I share this not to, as what the kids say nowadays, to self-glaze myself, right? You guys heard that? Only glaze I know is glazed donuts. So these kids sometimes with their slang, man. So I want you guys to know where I'm coming from, all right? It's because these are the types of people that I'll share with you. And if you're this type where you're all about purpose, right, and you live and breathe character, morals, values, and then I'll share the holistic fitness aspect of what we do, right? Please, you don't need to be a mentor. You can just be a guest speaker. But, what I found in my research, because I put together a grant proposal for ACF locally to get more resources, to provide more supplies, field trips, all kinds of stuff for the kids in Yuma. I found out that you need consistent quality mentorship, right? Daily is it's a dream depending on who we have. right? But weekly at least, right? It's kind of like being a parent, right? Being a coach. You got to be engaged face to face and not just, here are the resources, go forth and do great things, right? We need to guide them. We know how it's like growing up, and some of us still need it, right? That knowledge, that mentorship. We got to continually educate ourselves and be guided. All right, next slide, please. Let's start my timer here. So, Travis Manion, he was a lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. He died in Iraq. He got ambushed, he got killed by a sniper, and he saved his man because of his actions. So in 2007, his family, his mom specifically, you know, they started this little group just in honor of his legacy and his name, and Travis really, truly lived a life of character. You know, she didn't want his memory to go, you know, continue that legacy of what he stood for. They had like Marine Corps marathons, runs, but then eventually they started the nonprofit initially to help veterans with the transition to civilian life, and also for the families of fallen heroes, to provide resources for them. It's grown ever since. Eventually, Ryan Manion, the sister of Travis, started the Character Does Matter program, and that's what I'm going to focus on today as far as youth mentorship. Next slide, please. So our mission is to empower veterans and families of fallen heroes to develop character in future generations. I know it says in there veterans and families of the fallen, but we are also supported by a lot of inspired civilians, a lot of first responders. And you'll see with some of my team, law enforcement, border patrol, and some of those just very engaged local leaders and professionals as part of our team. Next slide, please. So some of the things that's offered for the veterans and the families of the fallen, these are leadership programs, and these are all free resources, by the way, for the veterans, the families of the fallen, and also for youth mentorship in the community. It's all provided by TMF. All right, there's some that are highly competitive as far as some of these seminars or expeditions, but ideally it's all paid for. So it's all free. Keyword free, right? It's a resource. All right, next slide. So they have, next slide too. They have a couple of these expeditions, development programs really throughout the year. And again, you don't have to be a veteran or family of the fallen. You can also be an inspired civilian is what we call it. The more engaged and involved you are in volunteering and being part of the team, right? You get put in this spot. Man, I've turned down so many free offers, expedition in Alaska, off-road trip in Austin, Texas, right? Like, because we have so many partners and we continue to grow because of the value of positive psychology, leadership development, and again, for some of these folks, especially the veterans that are having issues getting out, transitioning, leaving that life of purpose, structure, discipline, all that stuff, right? They help kind of like reshape your purpose and put it into something else, and that's doing community service projects in the community as well as youth mentorship. Next slide, please. So this is an expedition. This is one of the expeditions right here. They go to Puerto Rico, right? Some of the families of the fallen, some veterans, and they go help rebuild some of those communities. Next. All right, what I'm here for the most part, Character Does Matter program. All right, in you guys' packets, you know, it has some of the national initiatives and CDM and all that, and you can see this, there's a card. Some of you guys can get it towards the back, but we focus on evidence-based positive psychology. There's 24 character strengths, not all-inclusive, right? However, those are the things that we focus on. And I'll show you guys a survey you can take, a 10-minute survey, which we have the kids take as well. And we talk about character, right? We just don't talk about it. We give examples, legacies from fallen heroes, right? We give our own personal stories of struggle, right? Eventually, you'll go through enough struggle and adversity in life that what made you successful, it's not that you're the smartest person in the book or most capable. It's those soft skills, it's your character, it's your morals, your values. And then one thing I did for TMF Yuma, because TMF focuses on you know, the behavioral aspect, right? I incorporated the holistic fitness aspect because it's just as important, right? Taking a holistic approach, physical, mental, spiritual, social, right? Those are just as important because we all know it creates a domino effect if you're not sleeping right, you're not eating right, you're not moving, right? You could be the smartest person, you're stressed out. How do you deal with that? Okay, next slide, please. Next. Okay, so 1 out of 3 youth in our country does not have a positive role model or mentor. Think about when you were young, when you were a teenager especially, right? Middle school, high school, and you had to take things on your own. Maybe some of us got lucky, had that coach, that teacher, that responsible adult or parent, keyword responsible, right? and helped us along, right? We remember those moments, but we don't remember those that didn't really have any effect on us, okay? Next. So our methodology is honing in on these character strengths, finding what's their top, top 5. We focus on that, but we also talk about, everything else that's in there. It's not all inclusive, but there's activities associated with these character strengths. We share different life skills, tools, leadership development. As of recently, we started working on SMART goals for the kids, right? How do you be specific, turn it into an action plan, write it down, because what's the percentage, do you guys know, pop quiz, if you write your goals down, what percentage are you more likely to accomplish it? 80%. 42%, almost though. However, that does remind me, 89% of the students that have gone through CDM are more likely to step in, and this is reported from them when we do the surveys, to step in when they see bullying, right? Intervene, right? Be that active bystander to do the right thing, right? Next slide, please. Next slide. All right, so again, most of you guys got this, not all inclusive. The first thing that I like to start off with is love of learning, right? Because again, it's a moot point if anything that we're trying to teach you goes through the other ear and you're not paying attention, right? So not all inclusive, but again, we go through all these character strengths. I know it's hard to see. Some of you guys see the chart that you have. Next slide. All right, positive psychology, right? We tell them, you really have control of your life, right? Yes, there's biology, there's genetics, whatever mom, dad, God gave us. But at a certain point, we should know our tendencies. We mature, we learn. That's why love of learning is so important. And then the rest of that, it really is on us, right? How we decide to act, process information, right? Because again, nowadays, if all they're seeing is TikTok, random video, and I tell them, hey, I'm all about fun, but if that's all you're doing in your 4 or 5 hours daily, right? And you guys are still growing, your brain doesn't stop growing until you're 25, right? You're a sponge. Garbage in, garbage out, right? So it's giving them these different perspectives, right? Things that we didn't necessarily get taught in school, right? It just clicked with all of us at a certain point of our life, usually through adversity of we've gone through pain and challenges. Next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, go back. And then we tell them, if you actually have, and this is proven, right? We have a lot of medical professionals in here, but positive psychology, if you have that mindset, you're more likely to be a high performer. And so you can either be average or you can be on the left side, whatever standard deviation is, right, of the actual chart. So what do you want to be, right? Next. So I have like 40 plus slides on here, but I'm going to breeze through these. But you'll get a copy of the PDF, but really I had to put all the information in there so you at least have it as a reference. If you're interested or whatnot, it's all in there for you. So no need to take copious notes because I see all you guys just taking notes right there, all right? So that's the survey that you can actually take, right, to see it's a 10, 15-minute survey. It tells you, and it's through the viacharacter.org website, it tells you what your top 24 is. Whatever your number 24 is doesn't mean that's a weakness. It means that's something that you don't necessarily use every single day. So that's one thing, it gives you kind of like a compass, right? Like, oh, I don't use creativity a day. Maybe I should do this. There's associated activities and deliberate things you can plan and do to work on that, right? But then also our strengths, we want to capitalize on our strengths, right? Because that's what makes us, us. And I believe Kids at Hope Yuma, if you guys are familiar with that organization, that's what they do, is they focus on the strengths of those kids, and then they build on that. Because again, positive psychology, confidence, right? It opens up the door for other things. All right, next slide. Here's a quick 7-minute video from Foundation and some of the other key players. Oh, you got the volume?
But we can honor their sacrifice. Guardians like Travis Manion and Brendan Looney. On April 29, 2007, while fighting to rescue his fellow Marines from danger, Travis was killed by a sniper.
My name is Ryan Manion, and I am the sister of Travis Manion.
On September 21st, Brendan gave his own life, along with 8 others, in a helicopter crash.
My name is Amy Looney, and my late husband is Lieutenant SEAL Brendan Looney, United States Navy.
The friendship between First Lieutenant Travis Manion and Lieutenant Brendan Looney reflects the meaning of Memorial Day.
Travis and Brendan's friendship was forged on a brotherhood that developed at the Naval Academy.
We always used to joke that they were, brothers from another mother.
Travis and Brendan went through some of the toughest military training, but the most important training of their lives was developing their character. The military prepared them for battle, but it was their character that prepared them for life. Like our DNA, we each have a unique combination of character strengths that makes us who we are and pushes us to become who we want to be.
My name is Jocko Willink. I was in the U.S. Navy, and I retired as a lieutenant commander.
I mean, what can you say about Jocko? He's the real deal. He was the leader of a task unit for SEAL Team 3 during the Iraq War.
Well, when I was a SEAL platoon commander, we would receive intelligence from various sources about the location of a bad guy. We would drive our vehicles to the general vicinity where the bad guy was located. We'd put a big giant explosive breaching charge on the door of the building, and then we'd blast the door open. We would go inside, we'd clear the building, we would capture the bad guy that we were looking for, and we'd find out where the bad guy's friends were, and then we'd go get their friends. Well, I always say that leadership is the most important thing on the battlefield. The most important characteristic for a leader to have is humility. And sometimes that's surprising to people because they think a leader has to be bold and a leader has to be confident. Well, the problem with someone that's overly bold or overly confident is they stop listening to other people. And when you stop listening to other people, you don't change what you're doing. You'll stick with your plan. When your plan starts to go sideways and go wrong, you don't correct it. And the minute you lack humility is the minute that you stop training as hard, you start cutting corners. And when you cut corners and you don't train and you don't prepare, that's when you get caught.
My name is Earl Lundy. I was an E5 in the U.S. Army.
Earl doesn't understand the definition of quit. His story of survival is jaw-dropping.
I was deployed to C.A.R.E.S in Afghanistan in 2007. It was March 2008 when I got injured. On this day, I'm gonna go cook for my team as well. And I'm in the kitchen prepping a meal, and then all of a sudden, seen a white light, quick. When I came back to, it was pitch black darkness. All I could smell is smoke, gunpowder, and I can't move. I'm paralyzed, I don't know what's going on. And I asked myself, did I just die? They parked a vehicle full of explosion on the side of the house where we was in, and it blew up the side of the house that we was in and causing the house to collapse down on us. Then I had a beam that was sitting on my leg, and it was crushing my leg, but it was saving my life at the same time. I gathered up enough strength to move my hand, get my hand loose, to move a boulder that was sitting on my face, moved it off, and as soon as I did that, rubble and everything fell in my mouth. I'm just buried for 4 to 5 hours. I'm in this dark place, but I'm not dead, so I got a choice to live. And that's exactly what I'm gonna choose to do. I'm gonna choose to live. I was able to hear people getting closer to me, and they was like, is anybody here? And I said, Sergeant Lundy, I'm here. And I was able to say that with so much pride and so much, like, dog, I made it. Through the roughest patch of my life, I was able to make it. And I said my name proudly because I need to know who I was at that time.
When my dad was in the hospital, it was sad seeing him in the hospital bed. It's definitely shocking because I never would think a person, let alone my father, would have to go through something like that. My dad perseveres through anything and everything. He always pushes himself to the limit, and once he pushes to that limit, he pushes to the next limit that we didn't even know was possible. So I wasn't surprised when he recovered, because my father's like Superman.
At the end of the day, it's the people that inspire us. If we can play a part in telling these amazing stories of men and women who demonstrate character each and every day, we can inspire an entire generation.
So I was introduced to the Character Does Matter program as a junior in high school. It feels really fulfilling to do these service events. It makes me feel really good to know that I matter and I'm doing something for the community. We basically go around South Philly, which is where our project is based in, and we clean up different parks. So we clean up trash, and we rake leaves, we plant trees, and we build structures.
A lot of people think that you have to go through this dramatic experience in life to feel like, okay, then I made a change. To me, it was everyday stuff. All those little things matter because it helps build your character, making your bed, you know, or saying thank you. You know, you just made somebody's day. It's always the little things that matter that can have ripple effects in your life.
Travis was big in the little things. And because he was big in the little things, it made him even bigger in the big things.
When you think about the word legacy, you think about how you want to be remembered one day. And I always think about the way that Travis and Brendan lived their lives, embodying certain qualities, things that allowed them to persevere in trying situations.
And for Travis, his legacy will live on through his motto of if not me, then who?
That mantra, if not me, then who? That means everything. There's a lot of people that go through life and they don't take responsibility for what's going on in their life. They expect that the world is gonna come and make things happen for them.
If you don't get up and do this, who will?
You can sit around and wait for other people to do things for you, or you can step up and actually do them yourself.
All right, before I forget, Jocko Willink has a great book called Extreme Ownership. Who's heard of it? Great leadership book. Highly encouraged. Doesn't matter what leadership position you're in. You know, he relates it to business as well and any organization. It's a great book. All right, so I know we share examples of not just veterans, families of the fallen, but we really share all kinds of examples from different people, whether it's historical figures, current figures, different examples, right? And we try to bring them actually leaders and positive role models within the community and take them and let them learn from them as well. All right, I mean, I was surprised some of these kids don't even know who Cesar Chavez was, right? And the connection to Yuma and all that stuff. So like I said, TMF focuses on the positive psychology, character strengths, and the activities and, you know, community service associated with it. I started to incorporate holistic well-being because being an athlete my whole life, being in the military, in the Marine Corps, be it that, right? Hardest branch in there, no bias, all right? It's SEALs too, right? Special Forces. You know, I saw the importance, right? Got it, we're into war fighting in the military, but really trying to achieve peak human performance, right? When it's stressful, making quick decisions and all that, and really doing the right thing, which Travis did, sacrifice his life, right? And many others, like, how do you get to that big moment? It's the little things, right? The character, and then also your holistic well-being. Next slide. And I don't need to explain to you guys what holistic fitness and health is, right? So some of the things that we also do, and you know, as an organization, is Operation Legacy Projects. All it is a community project of your own idea, or you can work with other, you know, groups, and it's in honor of a fallen hero, right? It could be military, it could be you know, law enforcement, first responder. Right now, we're going to do a project for Vista, which we have a partnership with this year. You know, actually, he was one of the Stuco kids, passed away from medical complications this past Christmas break, and we're going to build something in the back in his honor and his legacy. So those are, you know, some of the projects that we do. Mr. King, is Miss Caballero here today, or no? Okay, no worries. All right, next. And then also, TMF provides these funding and resources. I submit it as the TMF chapter leader, and they'll give us funding and resources. And everything else is us collaborating with organizations, asking for donations or whatnot. Because again, I have a small budget. However, TMF has always provided what we needed. And then that's why right now, you know, we're trying to work on other grants to help us here in the local community. Because all the big fundraising stuff goes to the big pot, which it eventually trickles down to each community. But, you know, we're trying to be more deliberate as far as Yuma engagements and all that. All right, next. One of the things that we have for the kids is kind of like a LinkedIn, kind of like a social media profile. It's called Interview. So, right, they're already doing all these community service projects. And these are especially for the ones that start their own TMF club, which Vista did. And then back then, Castle Dome had it. You know, they start logging in the community service that they're already doing. And with this, it's really an online professional type profile, right, that scholarships, schools can see or whatnot. That's your profile of service, right? That's a free service as well for them. Next. So we talked about the youth club. It's, I know it's hard for educators and just with the current, program sometimes to get in the school, during school, and then after school as well. There's challenges. So we try to go in there and we're flexible with our schedules for whichever schools want it. Right now we have a partnership with Vista High School. We have it with Centennial Middle School, focusing on their ISS in-school suspended kids, and then for Vista, the Stuco, and then Somerton had a meeting with them December as far as potential engagements there as well. But we can only do so much. Everybody wants it and needs it. However, I'm trying to look for more mentors. Again, you don't have to be a dedicated mentor. If I can get someone in front of the kids every week, right, hearing different perspectives, because eventually what they'll see is like, you know what? Everyone's saying the same thing. Maybe I just press the I believe button and just try it, right? Next. And here's a list of some of these, some of our very engaged mentors. This isn't everyone. However, you probably know some of these guys. Go ahead. Coach Polks with Border Patrol. Awesome dude. I don't know if you guys know, but he used to be in the NFL. His story of adversity is insane. What he came from and the decision he made when he was 12, 13 years old because of what he was exposed to with his dad, and he shares this publicly. It's crazy to have that mindset at 12, 13 years old. We have guys like this, talk to them, to show them what's possible. I shared with you guys my story. I didn't even open up as far as the things I shared with the kids, because I tell them, this is what we went through. We're still here. This is why, right? That we show them the blueprint, and it's no secret. It's just actually following through and doing the right thing. Keep going. Some of our retired Marine officers flown around. And again, most of us, except for Matt, is fully, we have our primary jobs. Matt's just living the dream. There's Matt right there. He's also single, he's single, no kids, by the way. Next. I told him, I promise I'll put him out there. You guys probably know Dr. Villa. She's with the University of Arizona. Go, next. Yuma County Sheriff's Office, Dave Callahan. He actually went through the Spartan Leadership Program. He was an 8-year Marine veteran. Next. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Michael Hayes. He used to be HNHS CEO for the base. He now flies for Guardian, Flight Guardian over here. Next. And an inspired civilian. He's with Corrections, George Campos. Next. And here's kind of like the basic steps that we go through. Some online courses. Eventually, everyone goes through a background check, and then eventually they'll do a Zoom meeting with the program director. Then they'll link up with me to make sure that everything's good. Yeah, I still do that quality assurance check to make sure. Do I want this person in front of these kids, right? So we're very picky as far as who we want in front of the kids. Next, just some of the stats. Again, this is available to you guys. So what we've done since April 2023, that's when I got involved. We started the chapter. It's really just been me, a one-man show, doing the chapter stuff. So if you're interested, please. And we don't do more than what we can chew. So the more capacity, the more collaboration we have, the more resources, the better we'll be able to impact locally. Next. And just some of the things that we've done, previous school, just keep flipping. Go. We do workshops as well, back to school character day. Next. That's at O.C. Johnson at the lab. Next. Cibola, next. Last semester, this year with Vista, next. All right, keep going, I'm sorry. Yep. All right, so I got 4 minutes left. If you can, please, I want you guys, just so you can see how everything comes to fruition, right? And how they benefit, not just from scholarships, but if you watch these last 2 scholarship recipients for TMF, which, by the way, if they have the TMF club, they're involved with TMF, they're volunteers, they're doing it anyway for school and everything else. You put that TMF tag and label in there that you're a Spartan, right? It opens up other resources and opportunities for you to include scholarships. I encourage you, they're 5-6 minute videos for each of them, and just listen to their stories. How they almost came from maybe suicide or just all the things that we're trying to prevent with this coalition, and how now they're flourishing and thriving just because they had active mentors in front of them, caring, just being present, right? And it truly takes a village because, educators have their thing, parents sometimes, they're working, but then who's raising our kids, right? Social media, right? And we see what happens now, what's going on with the social and political polarization and everything going on, right? If we're not guiding them, mentoring them through all this, right? how are they being shaped, right? That's the only way we can really be part of the solution is direct engagement and not just say, hey, go here, here's this video, here's this book, go read this. We got to guide them, we got to mentor them. And you guys know this as professionals in this room, as we all been through life, and we continue to go through life, right? All right, I have 2 minutes left for any questions and answers. I was hoping to have Ms. Caballero here, but I'm gonna put you on the spot, Principal King. If you could provide some inputs or feedback from Ms. C or the students. It's okay to give negative feedback. I'm going to put you in the And we started doing a lot of physical training exercise with the kids about nutrition, how to sleep, all that stuff. And then perfect timing, we didn't plan this with Joanne, but she just shared something with the CDC as far as effective strategies, right? One of those for preventive, anti-drug prevention, all that stuff, is youth mentorship. So again, if no one's doing it, who's doing it, right? That's why we got to live by the, if not me, then who? Amen. Thank you so much.